Thank you very much. I guess the applause means that you approved my appointment. Chairman Varner and members of the board, I thank you very much for this vote of confidence in me to lead UCSF as its 10th Chancellor. I deeply appreciate the trust that this infers for me. I realize that although this morning you are appointing me as Chancellor, I know it will be my actions over the coming months and years that will truly earn me the title. As you know, I've been at UCSF for 32 years, and I've had the privilege of serving the university in several capacities. So let me just take a minute or two to share some of the perspectives that I have gained about UCSF over that time. With my family, I moved from Australia in 1982 to begin my UCSF career as a postdoctoral fellow in the Cardiovascular Research Institute. There I learned the critical role of basic curiosity-driven research, science purely in the pursuit of new knowledge. Then and now, the foundational strength of UCSF. Early in my career, I also benefited enormously from what I didn't realize at the time, but I now know is the unusually collaborative and mutually supportive culture of UCSF. An environment that surely demands excellence and hard work, but an environment that is warm and supportive, with teachers and mentors that are eager to see their students and colleagues succeed. I'm proud that the culture that I encountered 3 decades ago still remains the culture at UCSF today. After establishing my own laboratory, I returned to clinical medicine to practice in the neonatal intensive care unit to connect my scientific work with clinical medicine. There, I was daily reminded of the nobility of our mission to improve the health and lives of the people that we are privileged to care for, and also the responsibility, and in fact the thrill, of training the next generation. In the daily grind, this nobility of mission should never be forgotten. So the last 32 years have been an extraordinary experience for me. Extraordinary, first and foremost, for the opportunity to work with the faculty, staff, and students that make up the UCSF community. Their remarkable talent and their commitment to our public mission is inspirational and a daily reminder to me as to why our work is so important. Extraordinary also for the privilege of working side by side with the incredible group of volunteers and donors who work so hard and so successfully on our behalf. This combination of exceptional internal talent and external support gives me great confidence as I take on my new role. So now let me briefly turn to the future. The work we do at UCSF occurs at the intersection of 3 sectors: higher education, healthcare, and discovery. Opportunities for advancement, even transformation, in all 3 sectors are huge. But all 3 of these sectors are also ripe for disruption by new organizational and business models. After 3 decades at UCSF, I understand and deeply respect the core values that importantly include the principle and practice of shared governance with the faculty. But I also know that while we must be fiercely determined to preserve and protect these core values, we must be neither nostalgic about the past nor complacent about the present. Our times call for a rigorous look at the reality of the world today and a willingness to boldly move forward in new directions. I embrace the opportunity to work closely with the faculty as we embark together on this journey. As Chancellor, I will have both the opportunity and indeed the obligation to provide forward-looking leadership and make UCSF a model for the country at a time of such great opportunity in the health sciences. Let me take just a final minute to describe some examples of what I mean by this. First, healthcare. The Accountable Care Act continues to get the headlines, but the pressure for fundamental change in the healthcare system in the United States comes from somewhere far deeper than Washington. Society itself is demanding greater value in healthcare. Academic health centres such as UCSF cannot remain above this fray. We must provide the innovation and leadership to solve the value equation in healthcare. It is also clear that academic health centres can no longer survive alone. We must explore new, sometimes challenging business and governance models to get to necessary scale. Calibrating risk will be a very important issue as we move forward in this new world, but we must act boldly to avoid being marginalised by large, consolidated, non-academic systems. Our strength in healthcare across the UC system is a critical asset, and I look forward to working across campuses to make UC Health a national role model for high-value, innovative care. Second, education. Here, the disruption is coming from at least two directions. The first is driven by the rising debt burden of our students, and addressing this burden must be a key priority for me. The second, more profound, and in fact intellectually interesting disruption is driven by our students' unprecedented access to vast amounts of information and a widening gap between the traditional ways we still teach and the natural way young people who have grown up in a digital world best learn. With our singular focus on the graduate and postgraduate health sciences, I believe UCSF can lead the way in transforming not just what we teach, but how we teach it, to prepare our learners to make a substantial difference in the world. Finally, research. Curiosity-driven basic science is and will remain the jewel in the UCSF crown, but we must face two realities. The first is funding. Federal funding in research and development is flat, with a declining purchasing power of ever harder to get grants. I am committed to doing everything possible to strengthen basic, applied, and population research at UCSF by securing new sources of funds and relieving the financial and administrative burdens that are currently placed on our research faculty. The second is the merging of the technologic, biologic, and global population sciences into large integrated knowledge networks driven by the remarkable advances in informatics and technology. This convergence is occurring in ways unimaginable only a few years ago. This rapidly evolving convergence of the sciences requires new approaches to team science and a willingness to expand the traditional boundaries of what we consider health sciences pursued at UCSF. Both of these trends and others in the research sector suggest that innovative public-public, including partnerships across the UC system, and public-private partnerships, particularly with Silicon Valley, are both needed. In addition, we clearly must pursue new routes to funding and even more vigorous approaches to the dissemination and commercialization of our discoveries. So finally, by leading the preeminent university that is singularly focused on the health science, I embrace the critical role that the UCSF Chancellor must play here in San Francisco, across the UC system, nationally, and even internationally, as the academic health sciences adapt to the reality of the world they occupy today. In taking this job, it is my premise that no institution is better positioned to lead at this time of exceptional opportunity. The late Maya Angelou, speaking about leadership, said that she had learned that people will forget what you said. People will even forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. It is my hope that throughout my term as Chancellor, I can succeed in making all 23,000 members of the UCSF family and the thousands more who look to UCSF for hope and inspiration feel the same sense of excitement, engagement, and optimism that I have today. So it is an honour for me to begin service as the 10th Chancellor, and I again thank you for the confidence and trust you have placed in me. Thank you for your attention.